go.
We're gonna call the meeting to order, June 8th, planning board meeting in Waldeboro. We have a total of 4 here, in a quorum. Any adjustments to the agenda? For others? Quick note of that. Citizen comments not pertaining to the site plan that we're gonna be reviewing for the Elver buying station. Anything other than that? Okay. So, I guess we can have that presented, presumably Chuck is gonna do that for us?
Yep.
Yeah, tell us what we're about.
Okay. I'm assuming, we read big assumption that you're all familiar with 169 Jefferson Street,
I am.
okay?
Well, I see.
That, they have their buying station at the moment. And they're getting a little overcrowded. And they have a place in Portland that they are renting, and they want to consolidate everything on this site. So they want to add a 32 by 64 addition. Next to that existing, I'm gonna call it trailer. That's there. I don't know if it's a trailer or if it's
Something on wheels?
no, it's not,
Mobile home.
it's not on wheels. It's the basement. It's a.
Formerly a mobile home.
Actually, I think it was intended to be a mobile home, but it never was. It had a sloped roof with a.
Right.
They were gonna grow bamboo or something like that in the basement.
Oh, my goodness.
My understanding was when I bought it.
Okay,
So, this new building is gonna be butted up to
Yep.
the eastern side of that. Just so they can consolidate their whole operation here as opposed to being split.
Mhm.
And it is, maybe it's gonna be a 2-story structure where they're gonna have their operation on the first floor, and I think 2 apartments on the second floor.
pretty clear. I have a question about it, is with the apartments above. I'm just kind of thinking about where it is and the fact that the MVLT parklet is next door and stuff like that. Is it gonna look like business, or is it gonna look like a residence?
My intentions are for it to look like a residence. It's gonna be just like your barn style. It's gonna be a gambrel roof, and it's the exits for the apartments are gonna be southward facing towards the river, so it's just gonna hopefully look like a residence to
So it'll
me.
be like stairs and decks on the
Yep,
south side
On
and,
the south side, and then the front side where I haven't decided if we're gonna. Right now, the plans have 2 garage doors, but I may eliminate one, because I don't know if we're that's kind of in the discussions, because garage doors are expensive for one, and we don't need 2 big garage doors, and just be windows and one big garage door.
And I'm sorry for quickly jumping in. Do you mind just stating your name so our secretary can?
Yeah, my name's Corey Hawks, and I am a shareholder of the 169 Jefferson LLC.
I'm gonna come right out front and plead my ignorance. So, and I've read over everything, but so the Elver, the glass eel is, so they catch those, so I live right on the Potomac, so I see them. Every year they get their spot, then they go, so then they get the Elver, and then are they gonna bring it to you? And what do you, at that point, do you just let the Elver grow, or do you hold it, or do you sell it, or how does that work?
We export to China. We're direct exporters. We purchase from the fishermen,
Yeah.
which I am also a fisherman as well, and all of my partners are also Elver fishermen, and we just kind of formed this group, and we buy eels and also export to China. We don't one of the parts of our business is main eel trade and aquaculture. That's what META stands for. We just haven't got to the aquaculture end of it yet. Some of our other partners are in Canada and whatnot, but we're not
So
That
if I'm
stage.
hearing you, you're gonna at some point grow the Elvers right there?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
No,
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 okay, so
no,
that's where,
that won't be, you know, I know Sarah here in town, Sarah Rademacher has her eel farm,
Okay.
you know. And if we ever reach our goal, it could potentially be in Canada or it may be somewhere else. This is strictly just for trading purposes, buying and trading, so. We need something that's a little more substantial to hold, because we do, we have. You know, half a dozen facilities up and down the coast of Maine, and the main hub is our Waldeboro facility, so. At times we have, you know, a significant amount of poundage in that facility, and. Our current facility just isn't quite big enough. We need a little more tank space and, you know, a little more working room, because we, you know, carrying a bucket of eels has 15 pounds. You know, 30 grand in one bucket, and it's just, you can trip and fall, and when we export, we have to go from one building to the other, and, you know, sometimes it's snowing, and. You know, we're just trying to consolidate and be a little more efficient, so.
So you've got tanks in there, so are you changing out water quite a bit? How does water go in and
not-
water go out?
Not very often, and we have a well on the property as well. We basically, we have trays, just your regular fish trays. Right now, we have around 50 of those. And we fill them, how many ever we need, you know, or replace after we do an export. And they hold about 3 buckets of water, 15 gallons, and then once they're full, we just have like a drip that comes out of a pipe system for each row of tanks, and there's stacks of 3. And so it's just a slight drip that comes out of the pipes, just to kind of keep the water fresh as we're, you know, holding.
So what happens to the spent water?
It just drains out through and out onto just drains right back out, so it comes
Out
out
to
the well.
where? Out to
Comes
where?
out the wall, goes right out the front door, it's on a slab, and it just kind of runs down in, right back down.
So
in
all
the
that
river.
volume of water, it's just a drip trickling out that has.
Yeah, it's not that much, you'd be surprised, really not that
So
much.
you don't have to use a system and you don't pump it back into the town.
Nope, nope, it just runs back, it's just out of the well, through the tanks and right out the door, just good, and we have a little trench out front of the door that goes right down into the right back down in the river.
along that line, is there any environmental concern with the excretia of these Elvers when you dump that water? I mean, is there any
No, I mean,
possible, because I know years ago, I followed that salmon farm up in Belfast, and the town folk, somehow they did a study, and if you keep in the pen, the excretion affects the. I just wondering, are they just too small, or it's not?
well, the
They're not there
Elvers,
that
at the stage, the Elvers are migrating up the rivers, they haven't started to feed yet, so.
I see.
The only thing they're really losing is kind of like body mass, but that's just as they're working up through the currents, you know what I mean? They just kind of shrink to a level. You know, where they're more streamlined, because we call them, what we call them is ribbon eels when they first arrive in the waters, and they're kind of flat, and they just kind of. They kind of feed off their body until they get to the fresh water. They haven't, and that's why the Chinese or Japanese, they want them at that stage, because. They have no diet yet, and they can start feeding them on their diet. Same thing, same as Sarah, you know, we had some transactions with her this year as well, so.
In that season, the activity at that facility is a small portion of the year.
Yeah,
Right,
March
so-
22nd till June 7th at the latest. It's a season plus a quarter, and this year it was 5 weeks, so. Quota was met before the season ended. so.
I don't remember seeing in here, traffic. I mean, all your stuff is consolidating here. What's the traffic gonna be like?
Really,
I think I had that with.
Is it listed
Yeah,
here? It's not NA, because everything else is NA.
NA, yeah.
Hold on, I mean,
it's not, it's
You're
not.
not, NA. I don't remember seeing it. It might be.
I mean,
Traffic management, NA, increase in
Traffic
traffic volume. Will not cause the capacity of the access to fall below the level of surface D. That's 9.2.11.
I mean, for Article 9, it's less than 100. Yeah, project will be less than 50 parking spaces and have less than 100 trips in a peak hour.
So in that 5-week period, we're not going beyond, it's not gonna be crazy busy, like 24 hours a day kind of thing?
It's 24 hours a day, but as you know, like. One of the things with us holding, we don't do, a lot of the purchases are mostly just the locals and in town. And, you know, a lot of them just hold their reels, you know what I mean? They make one. Do, you know, half a dozen transactions per season, you know, rather than having a lot of transactions you have to report. Or just bringing in a more of a substantial weight. So as far as fisherman traffic, it's very limited, you know, I could actually get a list of. For that facility, how many, and then the others are just trucks from our other facilities, one truck. You know, every other day, sometimes if it's a busy, you know, they'll come in, you know, daily for a couple, 2-3 days until their shops are out, and then it's just employees, you know, other than
What
that.
kind of trucks are they? Are they,
Just regular pickup trucks.
they are,
Yeah.
they're not refrigerated trucks or anything?
Just regular pickup
So the
trucks.
eels can stay alive in a bucket without water, and I mean, they can just
If-
stay there?
If we
for
ever
24
had
hours?
a catastrophic event, you know, with our aeration systems, we would probably. You know, and actually with this new facility, where the tank system is gonna be kind of like a water. Or it's not gonna be watertight, but it's gonna have. A drain where we could drain all the tanks and drain the floor, but keep them consolidated, just. You could spray them with a hose and keep them alive for hours, you know what I mean, just keep them damp versus. Keeping them in a tank with a malfunctioned aeration system and they're drowned like within minutes, so basically.
So draining everything all at once in this once in a lifetime emergency situation,
Yeah,
where's that drain going?
that drain would go outside. Most likely,
To the river,
Downhill?
yeah.
to the river,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm a little concerned about.
Is when you're talking about putting the 2 apartments in, is there a sewer or are you gonna end up putting a
I believe. we have-
subsurface in?
We have to go into the town for.
The town sewer, right?
To
Town
town
sewer.
sewer, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna have facilities, I imagine, in the business as well? Toilet, sink,
probably one, yes,
so
yeah,
you're gonna have to
Yeah.
tie that into
Yeah.
the sewer system as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, that's correct.
and there's already one bathroom. You know, we may add one into the new facility, but there's already one in the existing. Building already, so, but I think that goes to each bed. But I think we, you know, depending on this, we might tie it all into the town, depending on preference. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that leach bed is way down close to the river, right? So, and at the end of this busy 5-week period, you've got water sitting in this building, which, so you probably drain it out for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah,
So that's what I'm concerned about, is all this water and drainage. Now, whose job is that to, you know, is that the
Well,
building
when you
permits?
say all this water, how much water are you talking?
Well, if we
You're talking
did,
About 500,000 gallons?
oh, no, no, I'm talking like, well, we have like a.
Gallons?
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
it basically, right now we have 50 trays, you know, 50 trays that hold 3 buckets. Basically, it's 35 gallon
750 gallons.
buckets, so. That's basically what we hold. We have very small, we hold a lot of eels in a very small, like in a fish tote. We put like almost. We can put up to 22 pounds in them. That's what we've tested. We try to keep it around 15 or 16 for comfort purposes. But, you know, so there's basically 15 gallons of water per tray, so.
So 750 gallons per day,
No,
per,
no, that's,
when
I mean,
it's
that would
all
be
in
if we were
operation.
to, because that will hold 1,000 pounds. Our exports, we generally do. You know, 100 to 125 kilos, which ends up being. Whatever that is, 225 pounds, something like that, you know, per, that's a big shipment, you know, something like that. That's a couple hundred boxes and, so that would be. Whatever, 10 or 15 trays, you know, so that's basically what that boils down to.
But at the end of
So
the
it's like-
season, you dump out 750 gallons, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So if I can jump in, I think a lot of the questions that we are getting at are things we would get to it when we're going through the checklist anyways. Do we want to just start with the checklist and then we can get through it article by article and then We'll get to the environmental standards. So, do you have a problem if I just look at the checklist for?
No, love it.
Take it away, Max.
So we'll start. Are there any members on the board who have a conflict of interest? None. Does the applicant have standing? I will quickly read the draft findings of facts. Town of Waldeboro Planning Board has considered the following application for map U4 lot 39A, including supported data, staff review comments for hearing testimony and related materials containing the record. These are the findings of fact. The applicant has proposed a similar use to a wholesale buying station, aka an Elver buying station, as defined in the Waldeboro Land Use Ordinance on page 15-33. Planning Board is authorized to review the proposed use. The applicant is being represented by Chuck Campbell, and the owner is 169 Jefferson Street LLC. I just have that down because that's what the deed says.
Yep, that's correct.
Property under consideration is map U4 lot 39A. The lot has a total acreage of 1.98 acres according to the Waldeboro's tax assessor's agent. The lot is in the downtown district, which allows wholesale business with planning board approval. The lot is also in the limited commercial shoreland zone, which allows commercial principal structures with planning board approval. Existing land use. I have single family dwelling, but it's also elder buying, so I need to make that correction. Proposed land use is new elder buying station with apartments. Previously, this site has been permitted with a carport in 2018. A 48.5 by 12 structure in 2016, minor renovations in 2013, roof installation in 2011, various plumbing permits. And also received planning board approval for an elder buying station in 2013. The town planner deemed the application ready for planning board review, with the applicant submitting the following items: the site plan review cover sheet, copy of the deed of the property, 7-page summary of the standards being addressed by the applicant, and in addition, a 4-page summary of the shoreline zoning standards by the applicant. The site plan document, a soil erosion control plan, and a land survey provided by the owner. Blanket County News ran in their June 1st, 2023 edition of the newspaper the legal advertisement for the public hearing of this application on May 25th, 2023. The town office mailed notices to the owners of properties that directly abut the borders of the property under review. And I did a site visit on, I left it blank, but May 25th, 2023. The applicant had a public hearing during the June 1st, 2023 planning board meeting. I walked by the site and everything. I hope that's all right.
Absolutely.
What do you mean there was a public hearing? Because
This
that
is
was,
the public hearing. So this is the draft findings of facts. I'm gonna make some amendments to it and everything, but we're doing the public hearing tonight. So that's why it says that. And that's the findings of facts. That's just a quick little clarity in case people are curious why this was approved in 2013 for an overbuying station and why we're doing it again this time. In the Waldeboro ordinance, if someone's doing a project that's under 10% of the gross area of the lots, it's considered a minor commercial addition and doesn't have to come to the planning board. But since this is over 10% being developed, new area being developed, this does have to come back for this use. If that makes sense. But with all that said, yeah. Does anyone have any objections to the applicant having standing? Hearing none. Now we'll go through the articles and sections to determine if this is accurate. So first, section 3.5.1. Give everyone a moment to just review it.
Man, to be more, I think we had a question for you.
Sure.
Where you was talking about the 10%. Yeah, the new was less than 10%.
Oh, we were, I don't know what it's gonna have this.
The existing coverage is 10%. The proposed coverage is only 12.2, so only adding 2.28% coverage. So I just want to clarify with what you said, that's all.
So it would be if like if there was only 1,000 square foot building there. You could do 100 square foot and not need planning board approval, but if it was 1,000 square foot and you are proposing a 101 square foot addition, then it does.
It's not the lot, it's the buildings.
So, yeah, I know, I said the lot.
Right, and that was why I questioned it.
Yeah, no, okay.
Yep.
The weekend's just right.
That's fine, I just wanted to make sure that we were all.
Yeah,
Glad you clarified.
yeah, no, I'm glad you caught me on this one. Well, section 3.5.1, this is going over the acceptance of the town, that the application was approved, accepted by the town office. It was submitted on town provided forms, which would just be the site plan review form. The applicant information was provided on the site form. Property location and details are provided. There is a deed saying that 169 Jefferson LLC is the owner. And that is the most recent deed. These have been paid. Cost and construction estimates were provided. There is a description of the project. As well as anticipated start and completion dates. And other listed permits include a plumbing permit and a state fire marshal construction permit. Site maps were provided. And estimated water sewer that's going to be used. And see that. Might be later on anyways. And then vehicular and pedestrian traffic, I got that answer from Chuck. After all this was sent out, it's about, I think you estimated about 20 vehicles.
Right, that's right.
A day, you mean? What do you mean? 20 a day?
When they're busy.
Yeah,
When it's overseen. And then whether evidence site, whether it can be connected to sewer, that's just a question we'd have to ask the utility district. Are there any questions or comments for 3.5.1?
Nope.
If there are none, then unless Mark.
Just, yeah, what zone is it?
It's downtown district, but it's also in the limited commercial overlay district.
I mean, was it confusion because I had it also in a different district someplace.
downtown business district, is that the official name?
Yeah, land use wise, it's downtown and downtown business. Shoreline zone, it's limited commercial. If there's no other questions on it, I could take a motion to accept section 3.5.1.
I make motion, we accept 3.5.1.
I'll second.
Barbara made the motion, Mark made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? 4-0.
Let's get the right.
By timing.
Then 3.5.2, which is mostly the site maps. This was. So this will be. AS1 in the maps that you were provided. There will be a title block. Names and engineers and other professionals that were provided. Planning board approval block. If necessary, a revision block. Conditions of approval. Building and structure drawings. At least the footprints. Traffic and average daily traffic. Vehicles. Site map was prepared by a professional engineer or architects. And then. AS three, no, I'm sorry. AS two, providing stormwater and erosion plans.
Max, why do we have building / structure drawings in this list?
Uh,
We never get those.
Well, it's site plan review. This isn't a building review.
yeah. I think that was something that was included. Like. With some other projects.
Right, if applicable or something on that.
Just asking for an idea of what the footprints. And the look of the building will be and the height. You know how high the building might be?
I did know. You had to ask.
Is it two full stories? There's a high first floor.
It's
Yeah.
10 foot. 10 foot in the first floor, so, you know, it's probably. I think 27.
I gotta say probably between 27, 28.
Yeah, that's what I
28
was gonna say. I think.
feet. It'll be
Oh,
within,
with the gambrel, that'll pop it up. That's pretty tall usually,
Well, it's the,
it'll be under whatever the.
35, it'll be
Shoreline.
30,
It'll end with 35
9
feet.
inches.
They're in the limitations for the shoreline.
because your part of your second floor is the steep portion of the gambrel, I
Right,
presume.
right. Right,
Oh, the second floor is, the
Mm.
apartments are, okay, under the roof.
As long as it doesn't,
Right.
as long as it doesn't exceed 35 feet high.
right.
Okay.
Which it will not, and the code officer should not issue a permit if
Right.
it does.
It's a nice roof to put solar on.
I got it at my house. I thought about it.
Think about it some more.
Take a look at your CMP bill, it'll convince.
Trust me, I look at my CMP bill at my house, you know what I mean? And I wish they had designed my solar at my house to cover more than 60% of the utilities, which would have been more like 80.
Right, right.
Right. So are there any other questions for section 3.5.2?
See, the last couple points on that, was that
Oh.
covered somewhere? After,
Well,
stormwater and erosion is the next
A2.
page.
yeah,
A2.
AS2,
And then
technical financial capacity, contour lines on.
we do have contour lines.
Yeah, and then fire protection provisions, That's something, oh, I don't think I talked to Chief about all this, I forgot that part.
But it's listed where the nearest fire
Right.
hydrant is, which is right there.
Yeah,
I think it's right on the other side of the street, I believe.
It's just the other side of the fire station.
On the map where it shows the two existing buildings, are those gonna be demolished and brought down?
No,
So those two buildings are going to be existing as well?
Yeah.
What are those gonna be used for?
Haven't decided yet,
Okay,
you know. Originally, I had pondered the idea of tearing down the garage style. You know, the regular square one, but you know, we haven't made that decision yet. So as of right now, it'll stay standing.
and that's why you had mentioned that you may or may not, that's why I said.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
the statement.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any more on that section? So,
if not, I'll take a motion to accept 3.5.2 unless you had a question, Barbara.
did you just say that you had to talk to the fire department about something?
Yeah, that'll probably just be a condition, quickly have Chief take a look.
So we I make a motion, we accept section 3.5.2 with the addition of the condition of the approval of the fire chief.
Barbara made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jeff makes the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Yes. All right. Now we get into Article 7, the performance standards. This goes over buffer areas, construction standards, electrical standards, historic village standards, not developable acreage, noise, lighting, refuse disposal, sanitary provisions, signs, storage materials, emergency services, and archaeological/historic sites. The applicant indicated that the historic village standards will be not applicable, and the archaeological/historic site would also not be applicable, since one is in the downtown district. The other standard is that it's already developed.
Got one question on 7.11. Are you storing anything that might be considered hazardous or anything for the operation of it? Just storage materials, anything that you're concerned with?
No, I mean, the only thing we really store, like, I mean, the 5-gallon gas can for the lawnmower, I mean.
Right.
I mean, that's about it, you know,
That's it,
for
okay.
maintenance throughout, you know. And if we have a remaining O2 bottle in the shop, you know, that might be hanging around, but that's it, so.
Is the O2 for the bubbler?
The O2 is for the bags, for when we export, so we just fill the bags full of them. But most of the time I just return them, whether they're full or empty, you know what I mean, just so they're not laying around for a year.
You fill the bags with the O2.
Yep.
And then you ship them.
Yep, rubber band it, and
So,
we actually put 2 bags, but you know, one's a liner and one's got the eels, the other one's for safety, you know, so.
Can the eels make that trip to China without dying?
Oh, yeah. We've had them in those bags for 72 hours. Stuck on a plane. Had them stuck on, we've had them stuck. One of the more of our concerns is temperature. You know, the water temperature rising too.
Right.
So when they get there, they have to really be cautious when they take them out, that our temperatures and their temperatures match. We've had them stuck on the tarmac in the Middle East before, so last year.
Yes, I'm trying to, I think the story Sarah always kept telling me was how like there was this one trailer that they were just frozen solid. She was worried they were all still dead, they were all dead and everything, but then like there'd soon be a faint heartbeat and everything and they come back.
Right.
Somewhat horrifying.
Cryogenics.
So
Okay, so are we asking to approve this section?
if there's no questions,
Yeah.
I don't think I have any questions. These were all,
so it would be determining Article 7 is complete. Including not applicable for 7.4 and 7.13.
so the only question I actually have is the south side where you're having exterior lighting, and that's because you've got the stairways on the building to the upstairs apartments.
Right.
That's why those lights are necessary. So they park in front and then go around to the back to get to the into the apartments.
Either in the front or on the end, on the eastward end. We may,
When you say front, you mean the long side?
the long
Yeah.
side, facing north, the
Yep.
north side, yeah.
Well, you don't have a parking spot. It's on the side yet.
Yeah.
On the plan, but, okay,
Max, can you just add 7.12.2 to the question for the fire chief as well?
As a
That's just a
condition.
lockbox.
Yep. All right. So the motion would be to accept Article 7 with 7.4 being non applicable 7.12 being a condition of approval based on Chief Smelter's opinion on the lockbox. And then 7.13 is not listed.
Make a motion, we said.
I second it.
Mark made the motion, Barbara seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Mark?
Sorry, busy writing.
All right. Make the motion. and then we do-
You have to multitask.
Okay. Article 8. This has quite a few not applicable items. 8.3 hydrogeologic assessment of groundwater impacts that will not be applicable since it's on municipal water. Is this on municipal water?
Yeah.
Okay,
One building is, yes. The long building is on municipal water.
the proposed one will be on municipal water.
It will as well, yeah.
Right, but they use the well water because the municipal water has chlorine in it.
Chlorine,
which-
fluoride and
Yeah.
all that.
That would kill them.
All right.
It's the well, unless-
Right
Like
on
where?
the, north corner of the.
Next to the parking.
Right there, existing well.
Next.
Existing well, there you are, okay, existing well, okay.
I thought it was on there.
Yeah. So applicable ones, there was 8.3, 8.5 phosphorus control, that's not applicable since this is not a Great Pond watershed. 8.6 soils is not applicable because this is gonna be in a concrete area.
Yeah.
Sorry. 8.9 is not applicable since this is not in a floodplain. 8.11 is not applicable since there's no change in the vegetation. And that's it.
Well, I know that you said that we were going to deal with water issues in this section,
So this would be 8.4 and 8.7. For those concerns.
Yep.
I'm gonna try this again, I'm sorry. So you say you dump 750 gallons once a season or once a
At
cycle?
one time.
At one time.
At one time, yeah.
Do you have any sense that you could do it over 2 or
Oh,
3 times, or
of
would
course.
that? Because I'm saying that big rush of water down there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be one time all or nothing.
No, for sure, and it could be. Dump one tray, let it run off, you know what I mean, like, and wait 10 minutes, dump it, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like, it's not like a big flume of 700,
Right.
it's like throwing 2 or 3 buckets of water, you know what I mean, out in your driveway, and. It's not even that, we dump it on the concrete and it just kind of runs out the door and. It's,
Okay, so it's
like-
not, it doesn't have to
it's
be.
really,
Yeah.
I mean. During the season, we really don't notice it, you know what I mean, like, it's so minimal, it's just. It's that we have one little groove cut in the concrete in the Holden, you know what I mean, like.
Right.
And you don't even know, you know what I mean, like, it's just damp, you know what I mean, like, it's not a.
but in March it could freeze and, you get your apartment dwellers. I'm just wondering, why not a catch basin or a French drain or something to accommodate this stuff? I mean,
That's absolutely, and actually Abden, when I was talking to Abden Simmons. Before coming here, he said that, his suggestion was just go right into the tap, because it's just water, you know what I mean, go right. Which we could pipe it right into the sewer, you know what I mean, like, it's not
mhm,
really any hazard, there's nothing hazardous, just well water,
mhm. And it's not a huge volume, so it's not gonna
Yeah,
be a
it's not a
huge
huge
cost to
volume,
you.
so, so we
This
could.
kind of seems that there's a drain in the floor of a
Yeah.
business. It should,
And that's how
should
we
become-
operate currently, and
Yeah.
if it's suggested that to go into, that's no big deal. When we do the plumbing underneath, we can certainly have the drains. And have it go right into the city,
yeah.
no
I
problem,
feel better about that.
I
don't
would,
you?
yeah, I think it would be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, no
You
problem.
guys don't have to worry, your floor drain is gonna, so
Yeah.
you pop the cork on that and just let it go. into the system.
Yeah, no problem. We can do that. no
I feel
problem.
better about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be a condition of approval and
Yes, that it ties into the public sewer.
Okay, anything else in here? This section?
I didn't know any-
Alright. Then the motion would be to accept Article 8 with 8.3 as not applicable, 8.4 as a condition that the business would be tied to sewer. 8.5 is not applicable, 8.6 is not applicable. 8.7 would also be a condition so that the business is tied to sewer. 8.9 is not applicable and 8.11 is not applicable.
I'll move to approve that as stated.
Second,
Jeff made the motion, Mark seconded. Any further comments or questions, discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Alright. Next is Article 9. Rather straightforward. 9.1 is not applicable since it's less than, bless you, 50 spaces and less than 150 per hour. And 9.3 is not applicable since it's in the downtown district.
So is nothing connected to town sewer currently?
Nothing to town sewer currently,
Yeah.
no.
Alright.
Ralph is going to appreciate it because his driveway's messed up from the last time they dug it up, and he said, I hope you do, so we can fix the rut that's in there right now, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the access to that through your right away. For that sewage pipe and. Presumably you'd have to have a pump, I guess, but I guess that would go through that space, right? That right away.
I believe it will, yeah.
That's it.
I lost track there a little bit, but
Any other comments, questions on Article 9?
Nope.
So would the motion be to accept Article 9 with 9.1 as not applicable and 9.3 is not applicable?
So moved. And seconding it?
I'll second.
Robert made the motion, Mark seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Mark. All right, and then we get to skip. Because you had Article 10 in it, but I don't think you had, there wasn't anything there. Yeah, so I didn't have that down in the checklist because there wasn't anything applicable. So we'd go right to Article 11. And for this one. 11 point, this is going through 11.6. 3, which is piers, docks and wharves, that would not be applicable. 4, which is campgrounds, would not be applicable. 5, individual campsites are not applicable. 13, essential services are not applicable. 14, mineral exploration and extraction is not applicable. 15, agriculture is not applicable. 16, timber harvesting is not applicable. 17, clearing or removal of vegetation is not applicable. 18, hazardous trees is not applicable. 19, exemptions to clearing and vegetation is not applicable. And then 20, revegetation requirements are not applicable.
Easy for you to say.
Then while it's noted in the application that 6 commercial and industrial uses is not applicable, the board just has to make sure that what's listed there is not one of the uses that will not be allowed. It's not, it's. Let me pull that up. For 11.6.6, the commercial and industrial uses. The board just has to ensure that the following items are not in the shoreline, being proposed in the shoreline zone. This is an auto washing facility, an auto or vehicle service repair shop, chemical or bacteriological laboratories. Any the storage of chemicals such as herbicides, pesticides, or fertilizers. Commercial painting, wood preserving and furniture stripping, dry cleaning establishments, electronic circuit assembly, laundromats unless connected to a sanitary sewer. Metal plating, finishing or polishing, petroleum or petroleum powder projects. Photographic processing, nor printing. I don't think any of those uses are being proposed, so we should be good. Does anyone have any questions on the items in the shoreline zone?
I just got one question. I think I know the answer, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. Is there any archaeological material that's on a river and by the bend, anything like Native Americans or artifacts or anything of that nature? Doesn't the state have to? They don't have to come in and automatically say that it's not of a historical importance, do they?
That would have been 7.13 archaeological and historic sites. I can certainly send something to the. I can send something to the state and say, this is something that's happening, but.
I mean, I don't think it is, but you never know. You could have some,
Right, I do have something that does show where some archaeological sites are likely in Waldeboro.
right,
It's not up here. It's not, well, in this location,
it wouldn't be up in this.
no, and.
It's washed down the river by now.
It wouldn't be like the Damascus River where they got the shell keeps or middens, which you can't.
That's what Waldeboro would have, but it's
Yeah.
further down the river.
Okay.
Wouldn't be in the village area at this point. But I can certainly check with the state.
And fortunately, they're not digging around down on the waterfront. anyways.
Any of the waterfront.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, it's up in the developed area.
Oh, right, archaeological sites was on there.
It was on there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, they told me.
last one.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't know why you didn't believe this. I've got some calling backs.
My head's a little fuzzy, all that, the air, I just.
Yeah.
That's all.
Allergies.
Other questions on this? For shoreline zoning? Is there a motion to accept Article 11 with the items that I said were not applicable a little bit earlier?
You don't want to repeat it again?
The following would not be applicable: 11.6.3, 4, 5, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
I'll move to approve that.
I'll second.
Jeff made the motion, Johnny seconded. Further discussion? Mark?
I'm just, you're getting ready to get in.
All right,
Be first for a change.
hearing none, all those in favor, there we go.
Don't count them twice.
That'll throw everything off.
All right. So,
So I have a question. Downtown business and shoreland, seems like oftentimes we would have conflicting ordinances. So does shoreland take precedence? Like the fact that you can build out 100% of your property?
The most restrictive will take precedence regardless where it is.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the downtown, you're allowed to cover where I think it's 100%, where in shoreline zone, you're only allowed 20%, and that's. I have the calculation showing that we're still under 20.
oh. After reviewing it, the two conditions of approval that I have. Put together. Fire chief will review the application and make a recommendation on whether a lockbox is necessary. And the business must be tied to the sewer. Are there any citizens' comments or concerns before we get to the final determination? Perhaps by a potential abutter.
I am present.
In case you had any comments or questions.
No, I was just coming to see where the building was gonna be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you,
And,
were you able to see it from where you were sitting?
Well, she has a copy of the plan.
Oh, yeah.
I
got
gave
the-
a copy.
I got copies of the site plans and I pretty much just wanted to, see where it was and then see where the trail is in relation to it. But right, it's just next to the other buildings. and
Right.
They won't even be close to each other. And it's gonna be on the- zero down the line.
What was your major concern, if I might ask? What were you concerned about?
The site plans just didn't, like get uploaded online. So I couldn't see where the building was,
Okay.
so I figured I'd pop in, see where the building was.
But did you design the gambrel for this Atlantic storage place?
Yeah.
That's your building?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would know how tall, that seems tall.
Well, that one is tossed.
Okay,
Off the basement.
it's 2 stories and a gambrel roof. Is that what it is? And a walkout basement.
Right,
And 4 stories on one end.
right. No, that one is brushing the height of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, this one won't be,
Okay,
won't close.
Well, if
Okay.
there's,
what next?
just need to make one final approval. This would be accepting the application as presented with the following conditions. Chief Smeltzer will take a look at the application in case he has any notes and base his recommendation on, or accepts his recommendation for a lockbox if he makes a recommendation. The business will be tied to the Waldeboro Utility District's sewer. And I didn't mention it a moment ago, but the applicant will be responsible for obtaining any additional required permits that they've listed.
So will we move to?
Yep.
I move to approve the application as with those requirements.
I second it.
Jeff made the motion, Barbara made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Application. is accepted.
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you, we're gonna need it.
Chuck, I'll send an email afterwards on just some.
Yep.
Minor things. and-
Yep.
So I have a question for you. That incredible rain we had, like 5 to 6 inches, did that affect the catch?
We were done before, we were done.
Would it have affected?
Oh, yeah, it would have. What happens generally in those situations when we get a lot of rain? When we start to see the eels again, they're usually inland further, like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what happens to them, you know what I mean, like.
The
I just
secret
know
tunnels,
It's
yeah.
just, you get those big heavy rains. And, I mean, you might see them again a couple weeks later, but generally you'll start to see them. In the inland waters, because we can go all the way to Bangor, actually, we fished Bangor in late season some years, so.
Just a question, I'm just curious. So where I am by the town landing and when everyone sets their nets, what's the strategy? I mean, it seems like people just have like the eddies and some put it in the middle.
A lot of the guys have been doing it and they fished all the different spots, that. They know every year historically, the currents, generally don't change, the run, it changes depending on. The amount of flow coming down the river and runoff, but generally where the eels run. There's specific, in every river, there's 2 or 3 good spots, and if you're down low by the landing, they fish off the wall. that's an early spot. That's where the eels kind of touch the shore first, and then. As they go up across over the ledge that sticks out, above the lumber yard, then
Right.
that's
I
a
see
good
that.
spot. Then, because where it goes under the bridge downtown, that's a narrow spot. Obviously, there's no other way around that, so. And so through the stages of the migration there, there's always a couple
Right.
good spots.
So the state will monitor how many pounds of elvers are, and then they put a limit on them.
Yep,
So
yeah, we have-
it's self-sustaining.
We have currently now, we have a 100% traceable fishery. We can
Right.
trace, like, especially in my shop. I'm gonna brag a little bit here, just because we do very well on our record keeping. The shop, the eels that I purchase in that shop. I can, when I fill one of the trays, I write the first fisherman and the last fisherman that goes in that tank, like we have a whiteboard, and how many pounds went in there. I can tell you whose eels are in what tank. You know what I mean? Going by the check numbers and stuff. I would go check numbers and weights and we keep track. But we also have the swipe card for the state, that was something that was adopted a few years back. Fisherman comes in, they swipe it in, we put it in the computer. It goes right directly to Department of Marine Resources.
Right.
It keeps track of each individual quota, because we all have a number and it varies from one fisherman to the next, depending on your historic landings.
Huh.
And then,
I didn't know that.
but we also have a state quota as well, of 9,500 pounds, that's included. The 95, 9,600, that's included all the native, the Maliseet, the Penobscots and the Passamaquoddy, it's all and includes all theirs as well.
So you get a notice when you've reached the state has reached quota?
The state does an update every couple
Yeah.
days, and
So
so,
that's, you find out
yeah,
after
we
the,
go on, and see, because for us as, like it's my responsibility to keep track of my own individual quota, the state, like, they don't give us a card that's prepaid, do you know what I mean? Like, like, so when you get to try to swipe in 5 pounds, because
Yeah.
they gotta write tickets still, they didn't design it, like, if you had to the 1/10 of a pound, you could literally swipe in 5 pounds, but like, before you leave the driveway, DMR is gonna be like, hey, what are you doing, put those back.
Yeah.
So, but, and then it also gets reported with Inland Fish and Wildlife, and anything that goes on a plane, it's stickered. We have Marine Patrol at every export, and they seal the boxes
Hmm.
and stuff, so
Wow. yeah,
it's very good. It's really, it saved I think it saved the fishery, making it traceable, keeps
Mhm.
it honest, and as a buyer. If you get
Right.
black market eels into the market, it just ruins the market, you know what I mean? I mean, they could still get rid of them.
Yeah.
And all it does, they're like, well, why are we gonna give you this price when we can get them for this
Right.
price?
right.
Well, because I'm doing it legally, you know what I mean? And they're, you know what I mean? And, and that's only on the years, there's a lot of eels around that really poses a significant problem,
Mhm.
but,
Do you live in Waldeboro?
nope, I live in Harpswell.
Oh.
Yep. So, this was my designated
So,
buying, I started at the urban station in a truck, and then
Mhm.
which with cash, that was ridiculous. Wow, like there was a lot of insanity going on during those times, well, in 2011 and 12, late 11 and 12.
Yeah.
Then 13, then when we went to checks only, it like saved a lot of lives, it it made it a much safer fishery. And so,
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's good now, so.
but at one point, a pound of elvers was worth $2,000.
Still is, yeah.
Oh, it still is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in the wrong profession.
yeah, no, I think this year we're up to 2,300. We paid
Wow.
2,300,
Wow.
And does it seem like it's doing well? It's in good shape?
It does, yeah, I mean, like this year, we caught the quota, like, we didn't even have to move inland, you know what I mean, like, in any way, like, all the smaller rivers, the bigger rivers, like the Madomic, but some of the smaller brooks and the individual ponds, they all produced well.
Mhm.
And then, like the inland rivers, Warren was a little later on, but then you go up further, You know, like the Penobscot, when you get up towards Hamden and Frankfurt and Orrington and Bangor, like. None of those rivers were even touched, you know, not to mention. What will go up the Penobscot, you know, or, you know. Many of the other big rivers, a lot of those guys that fish the real big rivers. Yeah. Well, not the Royal River is a pretty good river, but next one up, Presumpscot. Because that comes out of Sebago, you know, and that's a big run.
Yeah.
Those guys were only there for a night, you know, they
Wow.
caught that boat in one night and the river was empty, you know, and so.
Wow.
So there's a lot of free passage up through and then. You know, the state of Maine has done a good job in, you know, some of the dam removals on the coast, you know, and when you get rid of those dams, it's. Free passage that much further in, you know, so.
And do the eels prefer the cooler temperature waters? I mean, are they, if things are warming up, are they gonna continue mostly going in cold places?
One thing the only thing I really, there's really not a lot of research on the history of the American eel, you know, or the Anguilla rostrata. All I know is that I've been told it survived 2 ice ages, so I'm sure it's gone through a lot of hots and colds, you know, that's all I can tell you, you know, so. I mean, some will directly affect
Yeah,
Right.
us, you know, in the state of Maine. I don't know, you know, I think. You know, personally, the years that we don't have as good of a run. I believe, this is just from my experience, is that when we have that late ice in the, you know, resting on the mud flats, because the eels get here, we assume. In around January, February-ish is when they arrive, you know, so when you have that heavy ice pack or whatever, you know, it's a runoff, it rests on the mud. You know, and I think that kills a lot of them before they even get a chance to make the push upstream, so.
So I know we all are enjoying the educational lesson.
it's more interesting than your stuff.
Yeah.
Max.
I'm not really asking that. No, I would say this. What I was gonna say is, we want to continue the discussion. I don't have any other comments from the planning board. I don't have anything after it, so.
Okay,
Other than just LD 2003, we're gonna wait and see what the state does at last seconds, as usual. I don't have any other topics unless someone else has something they want to discuss.
we just have the minutes.
Minutes, yeah.
And
Oh, right.
can we even do them without Brendan or people being here?
You can still approve them. If you want.
Well, thank you.
Thank you all very
Good
much.
luck.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I forgot to put the minutes on the agenda.
Thank you.
Minute.
Fascinating, huh?
Hmm.
You wouldn't catch me dead, one, but
Yeah, totally agree with that.
I'm like, oh, really? You like sushi?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you like them?
It's just off the
Okay.
shower.
I think maybe a lot of hot sauce, maybe I just.
Wonder if we still listen to cash.
Well, listen.
All right, so, yeah, I forgot to put the minutes on the agenda, but everyone can still, review and approve them if they like.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. So.
I have questions.
Mhm.
About. April 13th mostly, the big night.
Yes. The big night.
The big night. And I don't know how important this is that it's not quite accurate, because it's. Well, for instance, the middle of paragraph 3. The proposed wine bar will be located in the existing garage carriage house, a separate structure. It's not really a separate structure, is that?
We could
It's
probably,
attached to the house.
yeah, we can just strike those 3 words.
And the other thing is that the land down the last paragraph, I thought we had discussed that the wine bar would be open 4 to 9 PM. Is that not the case?
He started to explain, he said 10, but then he corrected it. To what it was.
Yeah. Number that.
I hate to be like the party pooper, but
Nope, that's what the minutes should reflect.
I believe I misspelled Lorraine Rossio at the very top, under roll call. Should have been an O instead of an I with two R's.
Oh, Lorraine, yeah. And then, the other thing is, on page 3, halfway down.
Mhm.
It's the motion to approve. That's the long sentence. The last 3 lines, anyway, the proposed new uses, the B and B and the wine bar meet sanitary requirements and that an ongoing agreement will be maintained to provide sufficient off-street parking for the bed and breakfast. I think we should have that we approve that it should have 5, not sufficient. Because that's gonna be someone's judgment call at some point. You know, like, yes, we have 5 rooms, but they're not always full, so we just need 3, you know. We discussed 5, so I think 5 should be in there.
Okay.
And then. Okay, this was the 80 gray.
Yep.
No, never mind. Well, I think that the comment about the signage. Oh, never mind, that's okay. I think that was it.
Anyone have any other comments for the April minutes? So then, is there a motion to accept the April minutes with the amendments that were mentioned?
Was everybody here? Were you here that night? You were here?
I was here, yeah.
Barbara, Jeff, Johnny, and Mark attended remotely. Brendan was attending, but he's not good enough.
I make motion we accept the minutes with those couple changes.
Barbara made the motion, Jeff made the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? 4-0. Then there's the May 11th minutes.
Well, the only question I had on those is, number 3, second paragraph. Boardman asked about the minutes. November 16th, 2009 planning board meeting at which the proposed 10-lot subdivision was reviewed. She asked whether Waldeboro had the same requirements regarding wetlands and wet areas in 2009 as it is currently. Did we have an answer for that?
Where was that? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Right here.
Have the standards changed and
yeah, I'd have to check that. I'm sorry, but I don't have an answer tonight.
It's funny to leave a hanging question in there without resolving it. If we were able to resolve it.
I'll check after. I'll check and then I can make an attachment to these minutes if I find anything. But I don't think they changed. We don't really change too much in the ordinance.
oh, there was one other item in there for that question. Don't know, that's a big deal. And maybe my information is wrong on the top of the backside of that, page 2. It says planner Johnstone will contact Doug Meservey, a local licensed plumbing inspector. I know that he's a soils guy, but I don't know if he's a plumbing inspector, if that. Maybe he is, I don't know,
He's a site evaluator.
right, so,
He's a licensed site evaluator.
In
So I'm not
design
sure.
systems.
right,
Yes.
but he's not the
He's
guy
not a
that
plumbing
goes and
inspector.
checks your, make sure you're to code on
Correct.
a drainage.
Maybe just say a local inspector.
Inspector, he
what-
doesn't go after
No,
the fact.
He's
He's a site evaluator.
yeah, and it was about the wastewater development anyways. So. Whatever the proper terminology is for what it is,
So maybe local licensed site evaluator.
that sounds good.
Any other changes? Is there a motion to accept the May 11th minutes as amended?
Make motion, we accept the May 11th minutes as amended.
Robert made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mark seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Passes. All right. Now that takes care of that. Are there any other comments, questions? Thought from the board?
Anybody, maybe gonna join the board that you know of? We need some new people.
I know, we're gonna lose Mark by the next meeting.
Oh,
Yes, you
no.
will.
Oh,
All
no.
right.
You can tune in by Zoom if you want.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll be still in touch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Not that it,
wouldn't want to miss this entertaining stuff. But you know, we got through it pretty well. Or at least tonight's application with the Elvers, you know,
Thank you for
with
leading the way.
everything that we've had for past applications. White was nice.
So without Mark, all four of us have to, wait, is there a fifth? All four of us have to be at every meeting.
So I'll have to see how the warrant article goes. If the warrant is approved and the ordinance is amended as it's done, then we will only need 3 people to attend it
when is the warrant vote?
next Tuesday,
Okay,
13th.
13.
so that'll take care of that.
So if the warrant's approved, then even though Mark will be stepping down, if we don't find anyone, it's 4 people now, 1 person could still step down, and it's just those 3 people who would have to attend every meeting.
Who has to decide this? Who would, the 3 people is a quorum? Who decides that?
So in the land use ordinance, Article 2 goes over the administrative items.
Yeah,
And it's outlines like how big the planning board has to be, what's a quorum size.
right,
The town has always had it as like 7 people must be on the planning board,
right,
and half plus 1 would be 4, so that's a quorum.
I see.
So one of the warrants recommendations is, let's reduce the size to 5,
Right,
thus the quorum would have to be 3.
so the selectmen would vote on that or?
It's town meeting, so
Okay.
everyone in Waldeboro votes on that. And hopefully it's approved. Because if not, then that's gonna be some awkward meetings going forward.
Yeah,
All right,
okay. We all set?
any other thoughts, questions? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second it.
Seconded, all right, all those in favor?